Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Approval of Monday, December 19th, 2022 minutes.
Thank you. Minutes read well. Really good job. I will make a motion to approve.
And I will second. There's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, first item on the agenda is the compensation board fiscal year 23 salary recommendations. Good morning, Mr. Mike Franny.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Great, Mike. Hope you all had a great Merry Christmas.
Sure did.
Yeah. Okay, so several of you were there December 15th, Thursday. The board compensation board met, approved the recommended Carroll Board of Supervisors 17% raise for the Carroll County Sheriff, 12 for the treasurer and the recorder and the county attorney, 10 for the auditor, 9 for the supervisors. So that is my presentation, a recommendation to you guys.
Thank you for taking the time and you guys
Yeah.
getting together and meeting.
Yeah.
Today, all we're looking for is accepting of this letter.
I will make a motion to accept the letter. I'll second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
And
I
I
do
do thank you for your
Yes.
guys' efforts.
Well, we're trying.
All
Well,
the,
this is my last opportunity to say anything about
get it.
this. I would like to comment on it. Thank you for getting together and doing the recommendation, compensation for the elected officials. And I think it was pretty good, I think you did. I didn't see it or watch it. I wasn't present, so I didn't know. But I think these are reasonable. However, I am disappointed in devaluing the auditors. And that percentage, I feel that I think the auditor, I guess when I go back 4 years ago and there were 4 people in the auditor's office and 1 person left, that that person was not replaced. So that in itself in the last 4 years has probably saved the county $250,000, probably something like that. And I think that's disappointing that you don't recognize something like that and can't give a stipend at least to that. I'll also go back to when I started 8 years ago into the officers training in Des Moines, ISAC officers training. Marge Pitts from Clay County was there as the auditor. And she presented 3 pages of duties, bullet points, 3 pages, regular print of the duties of the auditor. Shortly after that, it was discovered that the Clay County Compensation Board and Board of Supervisors gave her. She was basically, they started the stipend situation. She made a point and they accepted it. Just historically speaking, in the last six auditors, of those, 2 retired. One was elected off the street to replace one of the supervisors that took another position and lasted 2 years until the next election. Leon Oswald was hired by the city of Carroll as their clerk. Butch Arts was hired away from the county as auditor to go to Carroll Screen as their HR person, HR manager. It was at that point where the position went to special election And an individual who knew nothing about got in there and was just absolutely horrible. The next election, he was replaced then by Brian Rupiper, who was hired away from the county by service master Home Shield. So, I think why in the same period of time, and I'm not saying anything against the audit, the treasurer and recorder, but that has never played out in that office. And I think it's because the outside private world looks at the auditor, the county auditor, as someone who has a well-balanced resume. It does payroll. It does a budget. It does 52 of these agendas every year. It is the confluence of all the departments' budgets to put together a county budget and then to find revenue to pay those expenses for the county. I think it's because the outside world actually recognizes the abilities, this and as well, in Carroll County, the auditors are HR manager. So I think the outside world, I would be surprised, Courtney, if you haven't been offered a position elsewhere. I would be surprised if you told me you hadn't been. I think there's probably a possibility that could probably arise with this situation whether it be an elected official or anyone that works for the county feels undervalued and can't get the same kind of recommendation as the rest of them. I guess I've said my piece, but I had to speak up for Courtney.
Well, we certainly,
Well, and, Mike and I have had some conversations, and I've had conversations with Courtney. I am frustrated myself. I didn't speak up that night. It went on, it ended so quickly in regard to that stipend that it kind of threw me back in a shock, but I agree with some of the things you're saying. And I appreciate what they've done. The thing that really starting to bother me, we gave big raises last year. This is a very big number here. Regardless, but we've got a COLA that's out there high. My fear and concern is how long can we sustain this? I mean, for years, the county has always been at 2 to 3%. And I understand everything's going up, but this does concern me, is how long we can sustain this as far as the taxpayers. And I'm not saying they don't deserve the raises. I think it's a dilemma that we're gonna have to face in the budget, figuring it out. And I've always been one that has always wanted to make sure that people get paid their worth too. So it's a balancing act, a real bad balancing act, and it doesn't know. That's what I've always said. This is the part of the job I hate, dealing with wages, because you're dealing with people's livelihoods.
Just off the cuff speaking here, if you cut it in half, only one position is gonna make COLA. Right? I'm done. Thank you.
thank you.
What does?
And real quick, I mean, I will
With the
speak
way
to
the
Dean. I will
states, the
agree with
states
what
got
Dean's
that.
saying. The one thing I will disagree with that was said that night. I'm not saying that I devalue, I think we have great employees, but I do not agree that every office is the same. I think they are completely different. They all hold different responsibilities. Some have 2 employees, some have 6, some have 0. I do think the responsibilities in each inside of those offices are completely different. And I would have loved to have seen a stipend for you to do the budget for the supervisors. I will agree to that as well.
And as you know, I was trying to do something about that, but I was
So maybe next year,
put that on the
Put it in
side.
my notes.
put it in your notes and use a stipend.
And I will say one other thing. one other comment that was made that night I did not agree with. And I mean, the sheriff does an excellent job. But the comment was made, being there's a bigger revenue stream coming in, that I can pay for it. I'm sorry. That revenue stream has been paid for by the taxpayers, and it should be going back to the taxpayers to reduce that debt.
That is, you know. I have said probably a few personal things in my comments. But we're talking about positions, we're not talking about individuals. You know. So, you know, whatever.
And we're not trying.
No,
I'm not here to bastardize.
I completely agree. I mean, it's a compensation board that meets once a year. And frankly, if, you know, if the elected position doesn't portray to their rep everything about their office, how, you know, how's a volunteer board supposed to know?
Thank
Thank
you. Well, there has been a motion and a second. Does anybody have any more discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Happy New Year. All right, second item on the agenda is secondary roads. Good morning, Zach.
Morning.
He has 2 items to review. Parent bid results for the BROS swap C014 SC14 G9 bridge. Sorry, if anybody could ever find that on a map, good luck.
All right, so we did get bids through the Iowa DOT back on the 20th of December. We had 4 bidders. Ranging from 476,000 and change to 683,000. Our estimate that we had put together back in July, I believe it was June or July, was 464,000, so about 12,000 less than the low bid. Relatively happy with that, with everything that's gone on in the last 2 years with construction prices and materials and everything. Graves Construction was the apparent low bidder. They've done multiple bridges for Carroll County in the past. I think the last one was in 2016, I believe. But good contractor out of Spencer. I don't think there'll be any issues with that. There's nothing we need to do today. DOT has to get the contract sent out so we can be moving formally down the path to award the contract to them and go down the path, but wanted to at least get the numbers to you so you knew where we sat and answer any questions if you had any.
One, I want to say good job on being as close as you were as far as,
Excellent.
yeah, you did a good job. Impressive. Second, you want to say for your live meeting exactly where this bridge is at, because nobody's going to know where BRS SWAP 097,642.
So G9 is on Phoenix. It's a mile west of the Litterdale pavement, I guess I'll call it. It'd be between section 9 and 10 of Grant, between 180th and 170th on Phoenix. So it's just southwest of Litterdale, basically 2 miles, mile and a half.
Perfect. I didn't mean for you to get up. I could
Nope.
have done that for you.
And that's the bridge up there is a historic bridge, right?
It is a historic bridge. It's a historic pony truss. And we have an agreement with conservation that they are going to take that bridge. We're gonna set it off to the side for now, and that will be a potential trail bridge in the future. Obviously, it's got to fit with the scenario and the length and all that, but I think it does have some value from that standpoint, and as well as trying to preserve the historic nature of that bridge. It's just kind of outserved its tenure on our secondary road system.
So that bridge is going to be lifted onto a flatbed and
Yep. Well,
that's included in this bid.
yep, part of the plans call for the contractor to lift it onto a truck, and then Carroll
The
County
owns it.
needs to take care of it from there, so.
Any more questions?
And we can't do any more until they
Nope.
sign the contract, right?
I will come back hopefully next week and we can award the contract to them. And we'll also have to do a resolution if you would like me to sign on behalf of the county. We have to do the resolution like we had to authorize me to sign. So if you'd like me to go forward with that, I will get that resolution prepared. So otherwise, I think we talked about it. We have to go through the process of getting it set up in Doc Express, whoever wants to do that, whoever the chairman is. So it's,
The road will be closed for 2 months roughly.
probably maybe even 3. A lot of it depends. We did allow free winter work, so they can come in and start in the winter. So it could be closed a little bit longer depending on the weather and how that would work and when they would start. But that will be, I guess, remains to be seen depending on when the contractor wants to start.
If I remember right, that mile is, there's no residents on it.
There is not any residents on that mile.
Any more discussion? The next item was to give a department update.
Really didn't have a whole lot there, just wanted to talk a little bit about the weather. We obviously we're out quite a bit with the weather the last couple weeks. Hopefully we're done with that for a little while. The wind really wreaked havoc with things and the cold obviously as well, trying to keep things put together. Obviously, machinery doesn't like to operate when it's -10, -15 degrees either. So we had some hiccups, got things pretty well put back together and fixed, but definitely makes a dent in trying to keep going when you have those kind of weather conditions. So
Can you do me a favor? In the next coming weeks, I would like to review the snow and ice policy ordinance.
Yep.
Just bring it forward to the board, please.
Mhm.
The reason why is the signatures on that. They're outdated a little bit, and then also to explain to the Carroll County people what is required or what we do during a snow ice situation, just so everybody's aware.
Yep.
Not, I don't want to change it or anything, or we can discuss it, but
Mhm.
just bring it forward.
absolutely,
Thank you. Anything else?
that's about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself. Yeah,
Yeah,
be careful out there on the ice.
The carrot Chester. We don't even
Slow
know
steps.
Chester is.
Baby steps. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, third item on the agenda is to approve payables. Looked through these and didn't have any questions. Few questions I did had were answered prior to the meeting.
Yeah, same way here. I have just the one and that was answered. So I'll make a motion that we approve the payables.
In the amount of $241,676.27.
I will second.
It's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Do manure management annual updates quick. Venner 1 Finisher Farms, Section 2 Wheatland Township, no changes. Venner 2 Finisher Farms, Section 30 Sac Township, Sac County, no changes. Bill Smith, Section 4 Sheraton Township, added acres. And I know we have 930 Carroll County Soil and Water Conservation District fiscal year 24 funding request. I see you're both here. Is it okay if we go ahead and go? Okay, perfect.
Go ahead, do what you need to do.
No, you guys come ahead. We're 10 minutes ahead, but if you guys are good, we're good. Are you guys good? Okay.
I'm ready.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you guys?
I'm doing fine.
Good.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Morning. Well, the first thing I want to do is, I'm John Coster, Tom Simon, the chairman of the board, I'm the vice chair. I want to thank you for being a partner with us in conservation. It means a lot to us to have the extra little funding to take care of the odds and ends that we're not able to use out of federal and state funds. So, there's Neil Benami and also a commissioner, so.
Neil Benami.
So, but with the partnership, you know, what we do with the funding that we do get, reduced water testing, that is something that, been a little slow this last year because of the drought. We hope to be able to increase the testing again this year, and we're trying to set a timeline of what's happening out there as far as that goes. We're not trying to, really be a sheriff's type of thing, you know, where we go after anybody in particular. But if we don't show what the water is doing in our part of the county, mostly off of the bridge ditches and so forth like that. So that is one thing that we do, so our we use it for newsletter. We do some rewards to say like what am I thinking? Water windbreaks and so forth like that there. We like to award to some of the people that are doing the right thing. So, and that's what we're using. Every year we, as a general rule, we award three awards in that kind of categories. And what we do, scholarships, we award 2 scholarships a year. Hopefully, we always have somebody that's willing to step up in high school and do a scholarship program. We have awarded 2 scholarships this last year, and the 2 years, 2 every year before that. So newsletter, we send out a newsletter every year, trying to inform the county farmers of what's out there, what's available, and so forth like that. Postage, we need a little help with postage. We can't use the federal and state money for a lot of different things. They've got a lot of hands on us, you know, as far as that part is concerned. One of my biggest thing that I like to push is education. Young people, young farmers. The kind of the theory I kind of see is that this isn't what grandpa does or did. And we've got to change that mindset. Now, if you notice after this storm that we just had, how much dirt is already in that snow. That is another thing. Then soil saving, cover crops, no-till, strip till. We've also got a new program coming out, or trying to get established, pasture land and hay land. Where with the pasture and hay land, it's a 5-year commitment. So we're trying to get that involved in there and try to help the livestock producers too, as far as cattlemen and so forth like that. We do a lot of the funding that goes through the state and the federal, like the terraces and cattle barns and things like that. We are the overseers of that. We're not actually funding them, but we are the overseers of that money. So you got anything else, Neil?
Just as you talk about, the livestock building, stuff like that, we're continually trying to promote that product. And I think last year we did get one more cattle or livestock building approved, which, probably over the last how many years now, we brought in probably $2 to $3 million into Carroll County, just with the livestock buildings alone. And predominantly they're all cattle barns and stuff like that, which then cattle barns are taking the open feedlots, closing them up, moving the livestock, the cattle into these buildings, which is more environmentally, good for everybody. It's keeping the manure and stuff like that where a guy can use it, and keeping the moisture, the waters out of the creeks and stuff like that. So that's a big thing. But even if you start talking several $1 million into Carroll County, that's quite a substantial tax increase for the base itself in Carroll County, which we feel is a very important part of Carroll County, especially with the livestock we got there. And John was talking about new programs. We got this, the new one is still in the infancy stage. Right now, it's pertaining to like pastures and stuff like that, you know, and marginal grounds. And I think there's probably only, there's five or six counties in the state of Iowa.
Right now, I think there's only 2 or 3 that are actually got it implemented, and they're in southern Iowa.
So we feel fortunate that we're gonna be able to work with that too. I mean, we got quite a bit of interest. I mean, you know, probably not so much cow business in some parts of the county, but you know, other parts of the county, there's big needs for, you know, pasture and stuff like that, you know, farming these hills and stuff like that. So, you know, that's gonna be a new program we're working on right now, and hopefully we can get that going down the road here and stuff like that. So, which there again is gonna bring more money into the county and stuff like that, which, you know, which we feel like is a good thing.
I'd like to thank Dean for being on the Raccoon watershed for the years that he has helped with that. Are you gonna be talking about the watershed here later
Yeah,
on?
well, in my committee reports, if-
Okay,
this
that'll be
time.
probably next.
Good.
Okay.
but I'll be addressing that.
Okay, then I won't go into that at all, and I'll wait for the funding that we're asking for it has been in the past $5,000 is what we've received. And, to my best knowledge, that's what we're asking for again. We're not gonna increase like you, a lot of times get variety with more increased funding and so forth. We're happy to have that. It's well appreciated, and we'd like to hope that you will continue to be partners with us. So,
Well, I appreciate for the presentation.
any questions?
I don't have any questions. Yes. Obviously, we're into our budget season, so we'll let you guys know as soon as possible once we pencil out all the numbers, so.
Okay,
But I appreciate you taking the time and coming before the board.
all right. Well, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we appreciate everything you guys do for us. Being, especially like you for yours. Good luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, after that, we approve resolution. Item number 6 is approved resolution 2022-018 utility resolution for 2022 values payable fiscal year 2023 and 2024.
After some training with some other auditors, we brought to the attention that each county should be doing these resolutions every year once they complete their evaluation reports. Carroll County has never done one of these, nor had about 40 other counties. So this will be something we do every year. It'll get published along with our minutes, and it basically just breaks down the evaluation by these utility companies and railroads. Now, this value from all of these comes from the state. They're state assessed. The county doesn't set any of the values, doesn't come from the assessor. It does come from the state, and the value, the taxable valuation and the rollback all is state numbers. So basically, we just plug these numbers into our system because they are included in our valuation under gas and electric and railroad. So you can see there's quite a bit of value with utilities. Overall, in our county, taxable valuation from these utilities is $84,628,004. With the rollback, $78,653,895. So brought this to your attention so you can see what our county has, and then also get this published in the minutes so the taxpayers can also see that as well.
And I did have a question with that Courtney this morning about part of the other documentation. Well, I questioned why Manning Municipal Gas wasn't listed in other townships there, and evidently there must be a lag on it, and this information comes from the state. Because if you look at this, according to this, they're only in Eden and Ewald Township and Maple River. And I don't know why they would even have Maple River in there at that time, because now they're in Pleasant Valley. They got that whole line that goes past your place and all that. So it goes over to Arcadia, so all those need to be in there, so that, there must be a lag on timing on that reporting.
That was Manning, yes.
Yeah, man, I just, I'm kind of looking through this and that kind of caught my eye. If there's no questions, I will make a motion to approve the resolution 2022-0018.
I'll second that.
Then a motion and a second. Any more discussion? The resolution, so roll call.
Counselor,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Shetler,
Yes,
Miners,
Yes,
motion carries. I'm gonna pass this down. I just have a place for the chair on both of those.
All right, item number 7 is committee reports.
I can go. Last week we had a meeting with SCH Baby Construction
They,
on
are no longer.
the millwork decisions. That was a hour-long meeting, but I think we delivered what they were asking for as far as the countertop. Wednesday, I had the landfill meeting at 6:30 in the morning, and then later at 9 o'clock, I had the drug booths open house. Questions?
Anything this week?
Today at noon, the assessor conference board.
I can go next. Last Tuesday, I had the same meeting with SEH in regard to the millwork, and then I'm also on Tuesday. Had a meeting at noon with the Carroll County Growth Partnership. Probably the biggest thing that was talked about at that meeting was dues. I think in the past, this last year, I think dues were $300 per person. They are looking at changing the due structure. They did have to go out and survey some communities, and some of them communities are anywhere from hell, like one community, there's 5 and pay at 30,000, and they got to graduate down through the whole line. Yeah, that's at Pella. They go from 30,000 down to, this is so fine, I can't really read it. One at 500. Then Fort Dodge has got 45 members, and they go from $4,200 to $7,500 per year. That at Nevada is 35 members. There's there are 2,500 and $1,000 memberships. So they found out that we are below the state average. My caution, I know I'm not saying it shouldn't go up, and then I'm not talking the county because our dues are part of our contribution. But I said, there is a lot of communities that aren't involved in Carroll County Growth Partnership that should be, and I said, you raise them dues too much, that you're gonna probably have them not at the table. And there's some that are even currently that are members, you know. But so I think they're having discussions right now. And it's probably not gonna get acted on right now until maybe January. But there will be a different structure, but they were talking about maybe doing a dual structure, like the private ones would pay one fee, which would be higher, and then like your government agencies and stuff would probably pay a smaller amount, so we can keep.
Will that be an executive board decision or
It'll be voted on by the board,
the whole board or the executive board?
the whole board. Yeah. So that was the biggest part of the discussion. The rest is basically Ty had talked about some of the things they want to do in the future, and talked about it.
So if they increase the dues, where does that additional revenue, where's that gonna go?
Well, okay, that was part of, they want to use it for, yeah, okay, I'm glad you brought it up. So that would be used, they want to start maybe some like, start accelerator grants. So that they can participate in helping people get started up. Maybe award, some outstanding business once in a while. Do some other projects that they can have funding to do that with, where they don't have that now. That's what they're after. And They're, and I think. And one of the other things they talked about was probably building a revolving loan. That way they could have also besides other ones that are around. So I don't know if you understand, a revolving loan will give you a loan for interest so much. You pay it back, and as that gets paid back, and then goes back out to someone else.
Region 12 does the same.
Yeah. Seems like in Templin, we have one with the phone company down there that pay to job creation. So. That was, as I say, was probably the biggest part of the. Then Wednesday, I had the Ruggles retirement, and then also on Wednesday, after that, I met with Don Metzler, trying to get my hands for. Wrap my hands around that mental health thing a little bit more, so I met with her. Close to an hour, so this week I have just the meeting at noon with the. Conference board. At this time.
I can go quickly. Last week, same thing, SCH and Rich's property. You guys covered SCH mill work. This week I have the radio and newspaper. And today at noon, the assessors.
Okay, I can wrap it up here. Last week on Wednesday, went down to Perry and met with the executive board of the North Raccoon Water Management Coalition to set the agenda for the January 27th meeting. And actually, everything we talked about was in the letter that was sent to you. You know, some of the agenda. This letter, I forwarded it to you guys right away when I got, well, I guess I later, I didn't want to bother your weekend and so. But it's a letter from Don Edler, who is how would you call him, Zach? He's been in the, he's an engineer, drainage engineer, and he's been with several companies, and I believe he's a consultant now. And he is the representative for Palo Alto County on the Water Management Coalition. And briefly, just the letter, I don't know if I ever sent it to you. I don't think so. The letter said that he came up with a lot of, what do you want to say? Imaginary, probably a good word, or I don't know how you say that. But it was a lot of, there was a lot of big numbers in there in the millions and billions but you know, I mean, that this stuff will never happen. And because, you know, what we're talking about is, and I gave a copy to Tom and John, you know, what we're talking about with the coalition is to generate funding so that farmers can help to minimize or mitigate nutrient soil nutrient and that's probably it. I mean, the funding that actually started the North Raccoon Water Management Authority came from the came from $9 million 5 years ago or 6 years ago now. That came from HUD and FEMA that was not spent during the 2010 flood. And so it went to the 7 major watersheds in Iowa, and one of them being North Raccoon, another one being the East and West Nishnabotna. They received a lot of money as well. I think the North Raccoons was around a little over $3 million. And a little over $4 million went to the East and West Nishnabotna. So they got a very sizable funding for that. Almost 3/4 of that funding that came from HUD watersheds. I was on both boards. The East West Nishnabotna did a very good organized I mean, they had a good coordinator. The money was spent and went to good projects throughout the watersheds. That was not the case in the North Raccoon, and a lot of it was because of Don Eller. There was funding that in Buena Vista County, the targeted areas were Buena Vista County and were Palo Alto and Pocahontas County. And when that money was spent, you got the map there, Gene? Yeah, so you can see the red areas is where the actual money went to for that FEMA, for those FEMA dollars. And that is the targeted areas again. They're up in the headwaters of the North Raccoon. And basically that funding was for floodwater mitigation. It had nothing to do with nutrient reduction. And so that's where those dollars went. Well, the dollars that were spent in Sac County and in Buena Vista County, those projects were completed. Those to the north in Pocahontas and Palo Alto County were not completed. They refused to implement them, and $1.7 million went back to HUD because they did not turn in any projects.
This is all kind of him.
Yes. And so that $1.7 million, they took it back, it went to Dubuque County. They utilized those dollars. So, and we talked about this, Gene, a few years ago, how he wanted to split up the North Raccoon between the Raccoon River, which would be in the southern part of the watershed, and then the North Raccoon. And he's doing basically the same thing again. So, the big thing that he is talking about in there, Gene, and you can, and everyone, is that a couple years ago, we had to determine whether or not we were going to approve a 41% nutrient reduction percentage or 48%. The 41% is the state recommendation. The 48% is basically a federal recommendation for a watershed that is a TDML. And so East West Nishnabotna was not a TDLM. But the North Raccoon River is simply because it flows into a populated area where water is extracted and used for public purposes, like the Des Moines Waterworks. The East West Nishnabotna flows into the Missouri River, and that water isn't dealt with until it gets down to St. Joe, Missouri, or Kansas City. And so, in order to get funding, the best source of funding was to recommend a 48% nutrient reduction. And Steve was very adamant about making sure that happened. And so with that, now they could apply for federal funding. The thing about the North Raccoon River is that it stands out. It's one of 10. At one point, it was one of 10 of the most polluted rivers in the country. And so it got the attention of the EPA. And so this is the right thing to do. No monies can ever be spent unless a farmer wants to participate. That's it. So all those big numbers he's talking about, I don't know where they're coming from. You know, I mean, it's silly, really.
So basically, it's still a voluntary program.
Yeah. You know, you have to have farmer participation in these projects to make them work. And they cannot be forced into it. You can't force anybody to do something with their property that they don't want to have done. You know, you go back to the terraces. You know, there's terraces all over. That was a hell of a good program. It's becoming less important now simply because the equipment's so big. And that the terraces are being pushed out. And the maintenance agreements on those terraces have expired. But those are always very good programs. Land set aside were good programs that you guys, you know, initiated. So although it's really disturbing and our chairman, Jonathan Gano, has sat down with Don and tried to talk to Don and to no avail. So Mike, good luck with that if you're the
Good luck.
Good luck. Enjoy.
So that's
I'm not taking that one.
so that
Please.
So that's basically that. You know, I'm pretty sure that, well, he attended the last meeting in November or October and kind of got booed out of the room, to be quite honest with you. So it's when you have an individual like this who's just, it's not easy. Anyway, that was my week, and I have nothing this week.
Thanks for being a representative on that. And I know Steve, you know, Steve Reinhardt.
Oh, yeah.
He gets frustrated too or whatever, and just ain't nothing accomplished. They don't wanna spend the money up there, move that money down.
Yes.
We'll get rid of it,
Yeah,
but it just don't happen.
and I think a lot of counties do the same way.
Yeah.
So none of that up in BB or up at Pocahontas and Carroll or BB got done,
None of it.
except for that south part of BB.
That's south part of EB, right? South is Storm Lake and you know, the Northrop, so. Yeah, they don't have it on there. Oh, the Wall Lake Inlet, but actually the Black Hawk watershed has been very active in mitigation, nutrient mitigation. And the primary support there came from the lake itself and silting and stuff like that. Mike, you're a hunter and you know, and a fisher, and you know, that fishery up there has just exploded since they started, you know, giving it some attention, so. So good luck with that one.
All right, is that it for committee reports? Courtney, what do we got for next week?
Have anything for next week at this time?
Just all our appointments and stuff.
Yeah, normal first of the year, fun stuff.
Makes our agenda look extremely
The
long.
agenda will look crazy long, but it won't be so bad. Because a lot of that stuff is pretty quick.
So you had,
Item number 8, add the valuation report.
All right. I was very happy that I got this done last week because I was able to enjoy the holiday without worrying about getting it done before the end of the year,
But you were hustling Friday.
I was hustling. So I sent these out to you. I have a little comparison between evaluation for January 1 of 21, which is the numbers that we're working with now on our current budget, and then the numbers for 1/1/22 that we will be working with for the 24 budget. So overall, the rural values in our county went up $23,332,549. So that's wonderful. The urban values went down $11,356,200. $246. And I'll go back to that here in a second, but overall, the county is looking at $11,976,303 of increased valuation overall. Just shy of 12 million. Doing a little checking into the urban values, I think a lot of it is coming from the way the state is utilizing the rollback on commercial and industrial property. We have a lot of commercial and some industrial property in our county. And it used to be they got a rollback and it was 90%. So we were seeing a reduction of that 10% overall. Well, this year they changed it. So the first $150,000 of all commercial and industrial property got the rollback the same as a residential property, which is 56 point some odd %. And then the remainder, if they were over that value, the remainder got the 90% like we had in the past. So that's about the biggest thing I can think of that's affecting the commercial and industrial values overall. And that was one change from this year, from the last year. So otherwise, we don't really have any others.
So the new valuation on urban won't go into effect till next year.
So I would assume, based on nothing drastically changing, that your rural values next year will be pretty much the same, maybe a little bit of an increase, and then your urban should go up significantly next year.
Because of the valuations.
Correct, yeah.
Because of the.
I know Cindy sent you guys all an email kind of telling you what to expect, so.
There's a reevaluation of properties.
Yeah, and I don't see. The rollbacks tend to stay pretty close, they'll be different every year, but they're not drastically different, so I would see a significant increase in the urban values, which will help all of our cities. Have any other questions on it? This means we can start getting our budget together.
Did you read? The rural went up, what?
Yeah, the rural increased by $23,332,549.
Urban went down
$11,356,246.
so the total went up 11 million.
11,976,303.
Well, I've always said Carroll County is a very progressive county. People are building new homes. And when you build new homes, that's new tax dollars. It's not that we're raising everybody's taxes. Of course, that does happen when you do have valuations, on the properties. You see that there's increased value there. So, but I mean, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Because, you can be in some of these counties where there's no increase in valuation. They can't cover the expenses of their county. They just don't have the money to do it.
Well, and the thing is, we have some good businesses too that keep expanding.
That's right.
And new ones too, so. I think we have a lot of good support there in that area, and I think, Carroll area growth partnerships and all of them have play a hand in that. I think, we're very fortunate we do have those increases. We've enjoyed them for many years.
But look at our smaller communities like Templeton, like Dedham, like Breda, like Coon and Manning. I mean, they all have such a pride in their communities, and they keep their little communities up.
Yeah.
That's probably as big as anything is they want their little community to shine. And I mean,
Well, like you say, some of these smaller communities got some pretty good businesses. out
Yes,
there,
they do.
And industries, you know what I mean? And we have a lot of hidden stuff out in the rural area too that we ain't aware of. You know,
Well, if there's nothing else before I adjourn.
I want to make a motion to adjourn.
No.
No,
no,
I need
no,
I
no.
need a motion to accept this.
Oh.
Okay, fine. There's a motion. Is there a second to adjourn?
So I
No,
need
we got a motion to accept
Evaluation.
The valuation report.
And then you guys can do what you want to do.
I'll second that motion.
I guess I first did it then.
Okay, so Dean,
And then I'm going to make a motion to adjourn.
just wait, all those in favor for the valuation? Signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. He's making the motion to adjourn. I'll second, but is there any discussion? I have something to say. Thank you, Dean, for 8 years of service to Carroll County.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
I truly do hope you get to enjoy the future with your family and grandkids and gardening and fishing and whatever. I know you don't golf, but it has been a pleasure working with you for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I appreciate it. You know, it was a joy. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna miss
All the meetings?
getting ready over the weekends for this meeting 52 times a year. I'm not gonna miss that one darn bit. But other than that, you know, I enjoyed it. It was a pleasure. And we have a great county, Carroll County, and I'm sure you guys will make it even better. So,
Well,
thank you.
I'd like to offer you, on behalf of the Board of Supervisors and everybody, we have a plaque made for you for your years of service. All right, and let me bring that.
Thank you. I'm sure you got this from Amazon, right?
No,
Instead of one of our local
I went
business.
to Trophies Plus.
Yeah, I know you did.
Your hometown.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, all in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
you sound
We are
a lot like me getting ready on the weekends. You know, that's kind of what I do. It's either